Hey gang, it's me, Uncle Todd here, and we're heading back into old dark house territory with The Gorilla, which features two very prominent horror stars, Bela Lugosi and Lionel Atwill, both coming off of Son of Frankenstein, and the great comedic character actress Patsy Kelly. Unfortunately, it also features, or I should say, headlines, the Ritz Brothers. Now, I am a fan of the Golden Age Hollywood comedy teams. Abbott and Costello, the Marx Brothers, the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy. Heck, I'll even throw in Martin and Lewis, even though they were in the 50s. But the Ritz Brothers, I really don't get their appeal. Here's some examples of their comedy stylings.
Oh, that's an ironing board.
Yes. That's an ironing board. Look, do you want this thing?
Certainly we want it. What do you think we iron on?
Yeah, I see. Well, here, take it!
Harrigan! Come in here! We found it!
Make a note of that, Gardy. Who are you?
Me? Why? I'm Peter, sir.
Never mind that. What's your name?
Peter, sir.
Just a minute. Where were you last night?
I beg your pardon.
Oh, so you did do something.
I don't like your looks.
What's that got to do with it? This is no beauty contest.
Yeah, basically their shtick, as it were, is to make faces at the camera and shout most of their lines. So basically just act goofy and people will think they're funny, I guess. The actual film is based on a stage play that played on Broadway back in 1925. This is actually the third adaptation. The first being 1927, and then again in 1930. This was put into production mostly because Bob Hope had a huge success with The Cat and the Canary, and now anybody that had a comedy team in a studio, they got pushed into doing a comedy horror flick. The flick opens with Patsy Kelly's character getting a mysterious note from the Gorilla, which is a mysterious killer that has been terrorizing the city lately. And the note is to her employer, played by Lionel Atwill.
Anything, it's just you go back to bed.
That's what I said, sir. Only there is this. The gorilla's paw.
Strangely, Stevens does not call the police. Instead, he decides to hire some private detectives to protect him. On the night they arrive, because the gorilla always gives 24-hour notice, Stevens' niece, Norma, and her fiance, Jack, show up. And they plan to move up the date of their wedding, and which Stevens seems very pleased about this, although they're not so happy when they hear about the message from the gorilla, and they aren't really that impressed with the detectives when they show up either. The Ritz Brothers, who are three Jewish men playing detectives with Irish names. That's considered funny, I guess. Basically bumble around the house, get insulted by Patsy Kelly's kitty, and make a nuisance of themselves. There's also someone lurking outside that we see passing by the windows occasionally. Then they get another warning from the gorilla.
Peter's alive, quickly!
Jack! What is it? What happened? Oh, Uncle Walter, are you hurt?
I know. No. I don't know what happened.
Look here. It seems to have been thrown in through that window.
Oh, Uncle Walter.
This message leads to another bit of classic comedy from the brothers.
Say, this note says at midnight.
At midnight?
Yeah.
What time is it now? It's 10:30.
I got 11:10.
I got 11:30. It's exactly 11:45.
Remind me to put some hands on this watch.
Yeah. Maybe little kids liked it. I know they were Fox's answers to Paramount's and MGM, I guess. Yeah, they went from Paramount to MGM. It's the Marx Brothers, but my Lord, they are nowhere near the Marx Brothers. Anyway, they all gather into the library where they get a mysterious warning once again. This time, over the actual radio. They try to call the police. Phones are out. Lights go out. Stevens disappears. They try to search and make an unusual discovery in the closet.
Oh, is he dead?
Who is he?
I never seen him before.
Do you know him?
No, sir, and this is no time for no introductions.
He's not dead. Hey, mark that down.
After they take the sailor to a room to recover or come to or whatever, the three detectives decide to reenact the crime. So one of them sits in the chair and they flip the lights out. They flip the lights back on. He's gone. So after some coercion, the other guy, another one, sits down. Same thing happens. The remaining detective decides he'll have Kitty be it, but she's not going to go for that one. And then the mysterious figure that's been lurking outside comes in. He meets the remaining detective, shows that the phone actually does work, saying a car broke down and he's just calling a garage. But when the Ritz brother tries to arrest him...
Oh, you've tried enough. Now get him up.
Listen, you're making a big mistake.
Oh, well, it won't be the first time.
The mysterious stranger escapes through a secret passage. He seems to know a lot about this house. Jack finds the remaining Ritz brother and gets him out of his handcuffs, and they find the other two tied up in the same closet the sailor has been in. About this time, another person shows up.
Trying to pull on me. I talked to Stevens on the telephone last night. He told me he had a plan to pay his debt.
Plan?
Yeah, said he'd only just started working on it.
But did he tell you what this plan is?
I wasn't interested. He was to square up with me here tonight.
Seems Stevens may have embezzled some funds from his company. Well, the search continues. And the Ritzes go into the basement where they find the gorilla.
Get that raccoon coat off. Come on. Get that thing off. Look, when I hit you over the head with this thing... Well, We've been double-crossed.
Well, they end up in a chase, lose the gorilla. The gorilla gets into a secret passage and tries to grab Norma. This leads the Ritz Brothers to investigate the passage, in which, in typical slapstick fashion, they fall down the stairs and end up back in the kitchen. About this time, the seaman wakes up, and he's got some news for them.
Bring Poe here. He says he's giving a party, wants us to put on our act.
Who hired you?
I don't know. I don't know nothing. All I know is I bring Poe here, we're waiting out in the garage like he tells me, waiting to do our stuff. All of a sudden, somebody gives me a clunk over the head, and I wake up in a lady's boudoir.
But the gorilla, how did he get loose?
You're asking me. That's what I want to find out.
Cute. A gorilla named Poe. That's a nice little reference to Murders in the Rue Morgue. Turns out, Poe does not like women. So Norma's in danger. As is Kitty. Another message is sent over the radio that Steven's body is in the garage. So the men all go to the garage, and all they find is Patsy Kelly tied up in Poe's cage. They let her go and realize it was all a trick to get Norma alone, and they find out Poe has got her.
Bring it down, Poe. Bring it down to me. Down, Poe. Down to the ground. Put it down, Poe. Down, Poe. Down to the ground. Poe. Stop it, Poe. Bring it down, Poe. Bring it down to me. Put it down, Poe.
After that, Poe makes his goodbyes in one of the actually more amusing parts of the film.
And just for that, I don't read you the funny papers tonight. Put you in bed without any supper, you bad boy. Oh.
I like that. Yeah. Pop. About this time, the mysterious stranger reappears. Seems he's a detective as well. Has been working on the gorilla case for some time. And he and the rest follow the line that he discovered behind the radio, which is where all the transmitters are coming from. And they find a secret room.
There is your microphone, and as I expected, there is your gorilla.
Mr. Stevens, the gorilla?
Well, sure, I could have told you that all the time.
I guess the party is over, my gorilla friend.
Yeah, but who tied him up like that?
I don't know. He figured the game was up and that this would throw off suspicion. This is a homemade job.
Bringing Stevens out into the study, we get the traditional detective roundup of clues.
Under the terms of your father's will, if anything were to happen to you, who would inherit your estate?
Uncle Walter.
My hunch was right. Your uncle brought you here tonight to kill you for your money.
Well, at least he had a reason.
So that's why he wouldn't let us call the police.
That's exactly why.
Yep. Turns out it was all just a ruse. He's not really the gorilla, but he was using the gorilla as a way to kill his niece, get her inheritance, and pay back the embezzlement. But this detective was too smart for him. And as we shake hands with everyone all around on a case well solved, we get another twist.
Let me congratulate you. You were wonderful. Oh, no, you don't, buddy. Okay, folks, say howdy to the gorilla.
Howdy.
All right, give out, or this moron is going to blow your brains out.
Well, you see, it was all that.
Oh,
Now, all of you stick your hands up.
You will never guess who turns out to be the real hero in this movie.
I was going to get the $250,000 and at the same time let him get the blame for all the gorilla murders. Oh, you better be careful. I'm a little nervous tonight.
Drop that gun, and I advise you not to move.
Yeah, you go better. Turns out Bela and the stranger showed up playing money were actually real detectives. This whole setup was an attempt to capture the gorilla. Turns out, Stevens was not an embezzler. He made it look that way. They needed to catch the gorilla because all the victims had been clients of his insurance company. And to save them money, they set up this elaborate ruse. Convoluted, yes. But don't worry, we get to end on another bit of classic Ritz Brothers comedy.
You know what? It's on the check. And be sure it's certified.
From a Confederate bank.
Bye.
Now, I know since this was based on a play, the Ritz Brothers are playing characters, and a lot of the lines probably weren't of their writing. But just from their antics, I'm not really impressed with them. Maybe I should see another... Well, no, I can't say that. I tried to watch their version of the Three Musketeers and only made about 15 minutes in before I called it quits. I learned something years ago when I saw Zombies on Broadway. And to a lesser extent, Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. You're in trouble when Lugosi is funnier than your comedians. Here's an example.
Hey, did you just pass here?
Yes. Yes, of course. I brought a trunk down from the attic.
A trunk?
Yes.
Were we here?
I couldn't say.
Well, maybe we're not here now.
Maybe.
Maybe.
All in the delivery. It's the same with Patsy Kelly. He runs rings around them in the humor department.
Here. Now look here, where were you last night?
Me? Why,
Answer yes or no.
I was...
What were you doing there?
Doing where?
Well, how do we know?
Besides, I don't like your looks.
Did you ever take a good look at yourself?
Yeah, did you ever take a look?
Hey.
That's a zinger. This was actually the last film. No, I think they made one more after this, the Ritz Brothers, for Fox. But with this film, they fell out of favor with Fox. Apparently, their father had died before filming started, and they kept delaying showing up. And finally, Fox fined them a large amount of money, which upset the Ritzes, and they felt that they weren't being appreciated and that they were being given B material instead of A movie material. They would leave Fox and go to Universal, making 2 comedies there, and then they would not appear in another movie, I don't think, until the surviving 2 members of the family made an appearance in one of Roger Corman's stewardess movies in the 70s. But it's not a bad film. I'm sure there are Ritz Brothers fans who will love this. I'm just not one of them. I enjoy the mystery. I enjoy the interaction of the gorilla. Because I'm always, you can't go wrong with a good 40s gorilla on the loose. And of course, Lugosi and Atwill and Kelly, they all give great performances. The romantic leads are kind of colorless, but that's pretty standard for the time. And like I said, in the interplay, Lugosi and Kelly, they are hilarious. Even when they're not dealing with the Ritz Brothers. Here's probably one of Lugosi's better dialogue scenes where there's no humor in the dialogue, but just his delivery of the lines it's just kind of spooky and funny at the same time.
Excuse me, sir. I tried to put your car away, but unfortunately, there's something wrong with it.
What do you mean?
It won't start. Excuse me, sir.
I think it's his smile he gives her at the end. Just cracks me up. He gave similar performances, or I shouldn't say performance when he appeared with the East Side Kids, where he would say lines that really weren't funny, but just his delivery made them kind of creepy and funny at the same time. Yeah, this is it's not a great film, again, but it's a nice little B programmer from the 40s, pretty standard. But yeah, I like parts of it. As a whole, but if you're a Ritz Brothers fan, you'll probably enjoy it, and if not, watch it for Lugosi, Kelly, and Atwill, and the guy that played the killer. He was pretty good too. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and stay after the credits for my favorite scene.
I'm afraid, gentlemen, you won't find the gorilla in there.
Why will we not find the gorilla in there? Now listen, you.